NMLS number 65084, equal housing lender. Woo!
As an adult, don't we all miss spring break? Nothing like taking a week off from all your responsibilities. Well, here's the next best thing for adults, a spring break from house payments. SaveWithConrad.com can help you get rid of all your credit card debt, just like that. We're routinely helping our listeners save $5, $6, $7, even $800 a month. And you don't need perfect credit or money out of your pocket to do this, but check this out, no house payments for 2 months. At SaveWithConrad.com.
Deletion! My skin's dying because you're under it. I'm done lying to myself for this. For all the wonder and believing that it's making me weak. I'll fade away and classify myself as obsolete.
Words are about to be spoken here on the Extreme Life of Matt Hardy, presented to you by ad-free shows and the Podcast Heat Network. I, of course, am John Alba, joined as I am every single week by the broken one, the woken one, the spoken one himself, Mr. Matt Hardy. Ooh, maybe a little Mr. Monday Night there, huh?
Broken Matt Hardy.
That is gimmick infringement if I have ever seen it, my friend. How are you?
I'm just paying a little respect to RVD. I like RVD. He's my buddy.
Man, I would love to have RVD on this show sometime. You know, RVD was one of my guys. If we could get him to come on, talk about stiffing you in the Royal Rumble 2003, some of his matches with Jeff, that would be a lot of fun. Love to make it happen. He's a pretty busy guy these days, rumor has it. How are you, my friend? You are up in the Great White
North.
Yeah. How are things?
It's very snowy outside. It's not snowing, but I mean, there's just so much snow built up, and it's 9 degrees outside. So obviously, the snow is sticking around for a bit.
Some great wrestling fans in Canada.
Yeah, especially Western Canada. It's funny, you know, kind of when you get Manitoba, slide over to Calgary a little bit, it's a little more southern, a little more Midwestern as far as the United States go, as far as the wrestling fans. And they're always really good. They're enthusiastic, and they're really here to have a good time. Last night, whenever I landed in the airport, there were over 50 fans waiting and going nuts, and like everybody wanted a picture, everybody wanted an autograph, and they were super excited and hyped to have AEW be in town.
Well, I know it's a big one for Kenny Omega and Chris Jericho in particular. What do you think performing in Canada means to those guys? Because they really take a lot of pride in where they hail from.
I mean, performing here in Winnipeg, you know, both of their hometowns, it's a big deal for them. You know, to bring AEW here, it's a project that both of them were, you know, cornerstones for. You know, AEW, without those two guys, you don't get AEW as it is right now. So it's definitely going to be a big deal to bring something they had so much investment in as far as All Elite Wrestling to Winnipeg and be here doing a show. I'm sure they're both super excited to be here.
No doubt about it. Should be quite the spectacle. I want to hit on a couple things before we have our main topic of conversation today, which is going to be about Bray Wyatt and the Ultimate Deletion. It's going to be a very fun episode to do. I'm excited to watch the Ultimate Deletion with you for the first time. I do want to say right off the bat, Matt Hardy, sincere condolences from the Extreme Life of Matt Hardy and the entire Ad-Free Shows Network to your pal Arn Anderson, who recently lost his oldest son this past week. Just an absolute tragedy, just 37 years old. Anything you'd like to say for your old friend Arn there?
I mean, I can't even imagine being in that situation, you know, to have a son and lose a son. It seems so wrong for a son to die before their father or their mother. You know, it's just, my heart goes out to Arn. I feel so terrible for him. And I just wish him the best and Godspeed to his son during this very tough and difficult time for Arn.
Yeah, one of the nicest guys in wrestling is Arn Anderson. So sending him and his family all the healing and all of the best, no doubt about that. Matt, I do want to pick your brain on this. I don't know how much you can say or how much you know. It's very possible you're totally out in the dark on this. But there was some rumor and innuendo this week floating around that AEW could be adding a third television show of wrestling. Again, I don't know how much you know, how much you can share. But what would you think about the prospect, hypothetically speaking, of AEW potentially adding another hour or so of television wrestling to the rotation?
I mean, I'm okay with that. Obviously, AEW has a huge roster. It's hard to get everyone on a Dynamite and a Rampage, and if they do end up doing it, I almost think you take like the Elevation show, and you kind of transform it into a television show, that airs here nationally in the U.S. and then I'm sure it would air globally as well. But I think it would be okay to have a show where you have some guys that just go out and get wins, and you continue to build them up to feature them on Rampages and Dynamites. I would be okay with a show like that, almost similar to a Sunday Night Heat or Velocity, or, even more of a throwback than that, a Wrestling Challenge or Wrestling Superstars. I'd be cool with that.
I was BSing around with some friends. I kind of came up with a concept. I'm curious what you would think about this. I think you'd be down with it. We know that Rampage they just show a ton of wrestling matches. They cram a ton of wrestling into that 1 hour that we see. You got
Right.
Dark Elevation, you got Dark. I would love for AEW, say it was a Saturday night primetime show, like it sounds like it might be, if it happens, as per the reports. I would love if it was like a 2-match show. You had 1 match in each hour, and you spent the entire 15 minutes, the first 15 minutes of each half hour, just building the match up. Show some vignettes, interview both of the competitors, get insight from your analysts that you have, and make it feel like 2 prize fights every single episode of this show, where you're really building some inter-show storytelling and adding a lot of, as you like to say, equity to these matches. What do you think about something like that? I feel like it would help differentiate it from some of the other programming on TV.
Yeah, I mean, I get that, and I do like builds for the match, but I feel like if it is an hour, if it's an hour-long show, I feel like 2 matches is a little too thin, and I feel like, you could spend some time, I think, do a minute and build up a match before, but I would almost use it more to like try and build stars, try and take guys who, because in AEW, I feel like there's a big number of talents that they go out and they wrestle in a big match, and they're just putting someone over. Like
Sure.
if you see Sky Blue going out to wrestle Jade or Britt Baker or Jamie Hayter, or you kind of know who's going to win. What's the outcome? I would like to see them build up a Sky Blue. I would like to see them build up some of the younger guys that do that as well. Like Lee Moriarty is one. I would like to see him build some. So I would like to see a package. Give me 30 seconds, a minute on this person, and then let them have a match. And even if they wrestle someone that is local and they just get a very strong win, I'm good with that. I think there's a place for those on TV and building people. But I think the most important thing is that you need to use that hour of television to build equity in the guys that don't necessarily get it on a Dynamite or Rampage. I think that would be the most beneficial to AEW.
Yeah. Well, we'll see if it happens. Again, those just the reports, nothing confirmed as of now. I just want to ping your brain on it. I'll tell you, Matt, this week it has just been wild as we kind of get on this road to WrestleMania. We're heading into this April part of the calendar, which is amazing that we're almost already a quarter done with 2023. This year's flying by right now. You are going to be training Stokely Hathaway for his match with Hook. What is your methodology there, my friend? How are you going to prepare Stokely for a one-on-one bout with one of the most dangerous men in AEW?
I'm just trying to train Stokely how to survive more than anything else, so we can keep him around. And, when I gave him that nice, genuine, authentic hug and
Very
told
real.
him, I love you, brother. I'll train you, brother. I'll share all my secrets with you, and we're gonna get through this, and you're gonna be good. So it's gonna be fun doing a little training with Stokely, and it's gonna be really interesting. As of this point right now, we might find out tonight. We might find out Friday when the official match is going to be with Stokely and Hook. But we're going to get them ready. Isaiah and I, we're going to share all our secrets with them. We're going to do everything we can to get them ready in a very small window of time. And when it comes to Stokely facing Hook, I just got to say it couldn't happen to a better guy. So we just got to make sure he's ready.
No wee fee, no large charge. You're doing this out of the goodness of your heart. You want to prepare him for this, and I think that's a pretty admirable thing that you're going to do there, my friend.
I'm a kind man, the kind of man that Stokely really wants to train with.
Well, I can tell you, Stokely Hathaway is not a guy that typically has a whole lot of gear, but if he hypothetically wanted to get some gear, he could head over to boxofgimmicks.com. Let me try that again. Ready, guys? Boxofgimmicks.com. Head to the collection section, look up the Extreme Life of Matt Hardy, and look at this, Matt. These are the new baseball tees that we just uploaded to the Box of Gimmicks website. Oh my goodness, you're a big baseball guy. Imagine walking around in one of these on your Saturday mornings. You're in a slow pitch softball league. You're out there and you're rocking the Extreme Life of Matt Hardy, Matt Fact, Matt Fiction baseball tee. How good does that look?
It's what I like to refer to as a nicety. It looks great. That's a good shirt. It's a good shirt, John. It's a good shirt.
I think it's so great that I don't need one. I don't need two. I don't need three. I don't need four. I need five. Matt Fact, Matt Fiction, Box of Gimmicks, baseball tees, boxofgimmicks.com. Head to the collections, head to the Extreme Life of Matt Hardy store and put this t-shirt on your back because, man, you're going to be looking real fly. I mean, real fly. And I think Stokely Hathaway would benefit quite a bit from wrestling in that. All right, my friend.
I'm going to suggest that. I'm going to suggest that to him tonight.
I think
rock the Matt Fiction shirt.
I think
it would give good luck as well.
I absolutely. It would be a lot of very good luck. And if not, he'll look good tapping out in it. It's whatever, man. If Hook even lets him survive if I let you. I heard that runs in the bloodline of Hook's family once or twice. So speaking of Matt Fact and Matt Fiction, I think we've reached that point of the episode. My friend, hit us with your Matt Fact.
Matt Fact, Matt always intakes too much food when he eats Korean barbecue.
Okay. That seems like a frequent occurrence in the Hardy life. I feel like every weekend you guys are over getting some K-pot.
Yeah, I mean, Rebbe found this place that does like hot pots and they do the standard Korean barbecue and she loves it. And I told her I was much more into the meat side of it where we eat all that. And like we go there maybe once every couple weeks, but I do notice that when I go eat, we usually eat early and that's the only meal. I don't eat anything else for the rest of the day. Holy shit. Like I'm one of those people too. Like, in the past, I've hit you with that Matt Fact saying, one of Matt's pet peeves is someone who wastes food and money. And whenever I go, if I'm paying a large charge for a whole lot of meat, I'm not going to waste it. So I'm going to get my money's worth. I'm going to make sure they earn it, So it's good. It's good quality food, but I do often intake too much food.
Matt Hardy loves the meat.
Oh yeah. I'm a big meat and rice guy.
I love,
Matt Fact, Matt is a big meat and rice guy. Look at that.
100%. I never know with you. I'm always on my toes. Every now and then, I'm just ready to spring into action. That first one, it's going to be a lot of text to fit in a little text box, but we'll make it happen. It will work there.
I always do. I was just going to say because I know the editing team behind Matt Hardy Pod, which is probably you, John, works really hard on that. So I try and keep my wordage down as much as possible, but I accidentally stuck always in there as opposed to just Matt intakes food. So my bad. My apologies.
It's okay.
Thank you for creating beautiful Matt Facts in this lovely font.
No problem. Hey, look, I know Matt Fact Monday is a big part of the brand. So I get it.
You're right.
I know that. And look, you get me some clout because you tagged me in those. So I'll pick up a couple followers off of that. So it's fine by me. I'm good with that. All right, Matt, let's get into it here. We did an episode entirely on your run as Woken Matt Hardy with Bray Wyatt. I think that's a long time ago in the archives. It was episode 20, in fact, which we are now in our 60s because we are old AF, my friend. But
you're not wrong.
But it is a great episode with some fantastic insight onto Bray Wyatt's relationship with Vince McMahon and his standing in the company at the time. And I told you back when we did it, we were going to do a long form eventually on the Ultimate Deletion, WWE's first Matt Hardy cinematic match, which saw Bray Wyatt come to the Hardy compound and eventually face you, and it would lead to some significant character changes. But if you'd like to catch everyone up to this point here, where things stand in the few weeks prior to the Ultimate Deletion, how were you and Bray feeling about how you guys were being booked and positioned going into a potential cinematic match?
I mean, we tried for weeks and weeks, probably months at the end of the day, just trying to get a cinematic match at the Hardy compound greenlit through Vince, and it was very challenging and tough for the writers to do. Bray and I, we obviously enjoyed our program together. We liked it a lot. We thought we overkilled the laughing thing. We did that the first time. It was really good. And Vince said, "Oh my God, I got such a great reaction." And I love it personally. So I want to do it every single time. He was booking that laughter for him because it was something he enjoyed. And we thought it was a little much. And you'll see whenever we watch the Ultimate Deletion right from the jump before we lock up, myself and Bray give a little nod and wink to the over amount of laughing that we were doing, because I say at the very beginning, I go, the time for laughing is over. And that was, a little dig at all the laughing Vince made us do week in and week out because he loved it so much. But Bray and I, we wanted to get that cinematic match. We knew that's what fans wanted, especially anyone who had followed me from the TNA days. There were a couple of times where I made tweets out towards Bray Wyatt, especially after they had the cinematic match following the final deletion. And I mean, that was going to be a big deal. And we thought if promoted right and done the right way, we could make it into something really special. You get this dream match of Broken Matt Hardy from TNA versus Bray Wyatt from WWE, two characters who totally fit together perfectly. So it was just tough to get that match. And we got it cleared about 2 weeks out. And we were excited once we finally got the match cleared.
When you signed with WWE, was that always in your tunnel vision that you would want to get a Hardy compound match in or a cinematic match in at some point in that run?
Yes, without a doubt. And I remember Hunter was very open. He said, yeah, while we're figuring out, you're figuring out all this trademark stuff with the whole Broken Matt Hardy thing. He said, we can kind of start, we can do a Hardy Boys run, and then hopefully we can do a good Broken Matt Hardy run at the end of it. And, with Vince, I don't think Vince probably was a little biased towards Broken Matt Hardy in general, just because it wasn't a WWE creation. Because he really is, like, if it's something he creates, something he feels like he was a part of, he is definitely going to lean into it, and he's going to promote it and push it a lot more if he feels like it's his creation. So this is something that was created outside the walls of Alexandria, outside of WWE, something that got over very much on its own. So I knew it was going to be a little more challenging, but I think I told the story in the Bray Wyatt episode. Eventually, Vince said, like, they won't stop doing this whole delete thing. They do it nonstop. So let's go ahead and try this thing. Let's give the people what they want if that's what they want so bad. So yeah, I really want to do a cinematic match right from the jump. I really want to do one with Bray Wyatt when it was all said and done. So I kept that in the back of my mind. And I was very open-minded to what they had suggested. Like, let's do a Hardy Boys run. Let's do as great as we can with the Hardy Boys. And then, if things work out where we can do Broken Matt Hardy or some version of Broken Matt Hardy, then we'll try and do that to the best of our ability.
What about the prospect of having all of the bells and whistles of a WWE production? I know there's some good and there's some bad that comes with it. There's certainly pros and there's certainly cons that come with Vince McMahon and the entire production crew being involved. Was that appealing to you or not as much?
I mean, it was. I was really interested to see how they would perceive this match, how they would edit this match, what they could do. I mean, they had so many tools at their disposal when you talk about production and editing. So that was very exciting. With that same thing being said, I remember telling Ed Koskey was the guy who worked with Bray and I the majority of the time. He was like the kind of the head writer there. So whenever we would go to get something cleared, we would talk with Ed Koskey. And I remember once we did get the Ultimate Deletion cleared to do, I said, I would like this to be a little more gritty. I don't want this to be so luxurious. So, so WWE. I don't want it overlit. I want it to be a little more dark, a little more gritty, a little more street style, So, and Ed understood that, but he didn't know if Vince was going to allow that, because anything that he's putting on his television product, he wants it as glamorous as possible.
Yeah. I think, and I could be wrong, this is me going off the top of my head, WWE had only done 2 cinematic matches prior to this. They did that New Day one that we talked about on the Bray Wyatt episode, which didn't exactly get the kindest reviews from the peanut gallery. And they did the House of Horrors match with Bray and Randy, which I think is generally panned as maybe the worst cinematic match of all time. So the track record wasn't super great coming into this, Matt. Is there any type of concern going into something like this?
You know me, man. I'm the ultimate optimist, and I'm gonna hope for the best, and I'm gonna try and do everything in my ability to make things the best. So I wasn't concerned, like, oh my God, they're gonna mess up my whole concept of this great string of cinematic matches I've had or whatever. I really didn't. I really didn't think like that. I don't keep that mentality. I think that's a very negative mentality to have in the first place. So no, I went into it with an open mind. I went into it very optimistic, and it's so funny. Vince eventually said, like, Ed, what are we doing in this deal? And Ed said, hey, can you like write up your general ideas, what you want to do, however you would do this in TNA, just write up your whole idea about this match, and then I'll submit it to Vince and say I did it. So hopefully we'll get more clearance here. And that's what we ended up doing too. Like, I literally wrote out everything, gave it to Ed. Ed probably put some different words in that were very appealing to Vince, and then he turned it into Vince, and then we got it cleared to do.
Wow. That's, again, it's like, how are you appealing to the king, right? How can you make your presentation something that is digestible for the king? And we know he has his little nuances, Vince. He has his little idiosyncrasies that resonate with him. I'm curious, because we've talked at length about the Woken character with him and the planetarium bit and everything.
Right.
Here we are a few months into you doing it. We're about 3.5 months into you doing it. You mentioned the laughing stuff. Was the character clicking with Vince? Was he understanding what you were trying to accomplish as far as your read on the situation?
I think with the way he tried to forge it into something that he understood a little more, helped and was beneficial. So that's why I was like, okay to go along with it, because if Vince feels like he's playing a part in it, obviously he's going to do a lot more with you. And my main goal, the most important goal, was to get a cinematic match. That was very important. That was one of my entire goals coming back to WWE, to be able to do cinematic matches every so often. So yeah, I didn't like the laughing stuff. Bray didn't like the laughing stuff, and we thought that was too much. We got doing comedy. I mean, for instance, like Bray Wyatt, even in his most serious and deadly, reintervention as the Fiend, would still do Bray Wyatt, Firefly Funhouse Bray, and he would also do Bray Wyatt, Muscle Man Bray, on top of Bray Wyatt, the Fiend, which was an absolute killer. So Bray understands the comedy in stuff, how you have to have like humor and lighthearted moments. And I do as well, obviously, because Broken Matt Hardy did so much silliness as it was anyway, but that was part of the entertaining concept. I feel like in these matches, you can have moments that are very serious and very sincere and even dramatic, but you also can't take yourself too serious, because when you're doing a cinematic match, you're still two pro wrestlers that are basically doing like a version of a movie, and it's not like you're the greatest actors in the world. We're not Matthew McConaughey and Brad Pitt. We're out there doing our thing, and we're wrestling, and we're being, live stuntmen on the fly as we're doing all this, but also we're entertaining people. I felt like the House of Horrors match, which you referenced earlier with Randy and Bray, you could tell that had Vince's fingerprints over it. It tried to take itself way too serious, and they tried to like do a horror movie thing, but I think at the end of the day, it just came off cheesy. And I feel like if you try to do something way too serious in the insane and larger than life fantastical world of pro wrestling, I feel like it'll rub people the wrong way, because it's not going to be the great thing you want. Because once again, then you go back to men fighting one another in their underwear, throwing each other in the ropes and stuff. Like pro wrestling isn't a serious contest. And I still, once again, I would recommend everyone out there, don't take your pro wrestling too serious. Enjoy it, but like remember, like this is entertainment at the end of the day, and pro wrestling was built on entertainment, and it'll always need entertainment in the confines of pro wrestling.
What was your take on Bray's character at this time? He's less than a year removed from being WWE champion. He has that unceremonious dethroning at WrestleMania, the one that you came back at. Mm-hmm. Then he has the House of Horrors match, as we talked about. There's a whole bunch of hullabaloo with his character speaking the tongues, essentially, in his promos, and then he gets paired up with you. It almost felt, from speaking from the fan standpoint here, he had cooled off pretty significantly heading into this feud with you. What was your take on his presentation?
Yeah, I mean, you could tell he wasn't in the top 3 of Vince's to-do list when it came to promoting wrestlers at that time, which it is what it is. I mean, pro wrestling, unless you're one of the top 2 or 3 guys, it's always going to be a cosine curve. There's going to be times where your career goes up and then it's going to come back down. You rebuild again, go back up, back down. And that's the story of pro wrestling in a nutshell. For the majority of people to end up being pretty successful, it's a cosine curve. So yeah, he was obviously kind of on the lower part of his cosine curve with Vince during that time. But I thought this thing with, a rebirth of a version of Broken Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt could really help to build him back up. I thought we could both build one another up during this time.
One thing I really disliked about that run with him was that the audiences were so clamoring for him to be a babyface. Everyone wanted to get behind Bray Wyatt. He'd get big reaction, even when his character stunk. He'd get big reactions all the time, and people wanted to cheer for him. And they were so resistant to making him a babyface. It took him so long to have I'm pretty sure your run with him once he turns is his first true babyface run in WWE, which is crazy to think about. Why do you think you were so resistant to listening to that feedback? Because I really do believe it hurt Bray in the long run.
Yeah, I mean, once again, if a character is that entertaining, and he was very entertaining, the stuff he did with, Bray Wyatt, cult leader back in the day, whenever he had the Wyatt family with him, that version of Bray was very entertaining. It was very deep. He did cool stuff. And I think fans, especially fans that are more in the know in this day and age, they're like, wow, this guy's, I like these promos. There's a lot of depth and the way he commits to this character. I mean, there's people that definitely respect that. And I think he had built a lot of equity in fans that did respect the things he'd done and how committed he was to his character, where they did get to that point where they wanted him to be a babyface and they wanted to cheer him. They wanted to feel okay cheering him. And whenever we ended up being the leaders of the world following the Ultimate Deletion, dude, we got insane reactions whenever we went out. I mean, it was really, really over, but I think it was just, it was way out of Vince's depth level at that time. And he just didn't get how to utilize us to maximize us. In my opinion, that's my take on it. And I remember there were so many times he said, you guys can be something very special. You can be two of the, one of the most special acts around here, but you have to do it this way. You have to, work this way. You have to do this, have to do that. But then once again, he would throw us just in tag matches where we would beat, the Revival in 3 minutes, or we would beat, there were a ton of teams, Titus O'Neil and his partner. Whoever he's working with at that time. I mean, there were so many people we went out. We just had 3 or 4 minute matches on TV, and it didn't do anything for those guys, obviously, and it really didn't do anything for us because it wasn't helping us. It wasn't helping move our characters, which was first and foremost the most important thing about us at that time. The matches really didn't matter. It was our characters that needed to be built. It was our characters that needed to be intensified, and the best way to do that and get them over was shoot in weird remote locations. That would have worked for both of us at that time, and just Vince didn't see that.
Well, and you said that on our Bray Wyatt episode too, where one of the things that we both agreed, you and I both agreed, really killed this feud was that you had actual in-ring matches that were not given time at all.
Yeah.
And they kind of took a lot of the lust and lore, the bells and whistles out of all these wacky, wild promos you guys were doing together. Did that really handicap you guys?
Yeah, I mean, it was, and once again, it was Titus O'Neil and Apollos who was going to say that was a match that we had that was real quick. I mean, it wasn't beneficial to us because, we aren't normal pro wrestlers. We are characters that are fantastical. And just putting us in the ring kind of takes away from that. It normalizes us. And when you have two freaks like a broken Matt Hardy and a Bray Wyatt, you don't want to normalize those guys. I feel like the less you see them in the ring, the better. We tried for so long to get vignettes from me at the Hardy compound during our feud, which I couldn't get. Vince, I don't know if he just didn't trust me or he just wasn't sure. I mean, I kept doing the promos in front of as my wife says all the time, the fucking wrinkled white sheet in the background. She said, oh my God, just can you stop doing what in front of this fucking wrinkled white sheet? And I think Vince's mindset was I played into the light and the dark, which I feel like that's the oldest story between good and bad. And I feel like that's something that is like huge and larger than life, very space and time driven, and that was the story that I was doing. I did that with Decay, with House Hardy versus Decay. We were the light, they were the dark, and I did it with myself and Bray in that great war. And, Vince said, okay, well, if you're in the light, then we'll put you in front of a white sheet. Well, it'll be brilliant in the back, and we'll have Bray in this dark setting. Yeah, I mean, I say that, but I mean, it's more or less like an analogy, like I am the light, I am the good guy, but I think if you have vignettes, we could go to my place, we could shoot a month's worth of vignettes, in one sitting, and then we have all these cool vignettes to show. And then also you've introduced the Hardy compound and even some members of House Hardy to my family, so they're a little more aware of it. WWE fans that never saw it on TNA, but we never got that cleared, and we just tried, and eventually we got the cinematic match, which was, as Eddie Guerrero would say, better than nothing.
I mean, look, you did get some vignettes on TV, like you said, the laughing and stuff. You got Napoleon, the goldfish, right? I mean, that was super fun. Listen, Napoleon, in my opinion, Matt, he's swimming around in his little bowl of water. I know you were encouraging him to find his vessel, his old vessel. Truthfully, I think he would have been able to retake his human form had he been swimming around in some AG1s, because that every single day, Matt Hardy, you take your AG1 and all of a sudden you're feeling like you're in the best human vessel possible. Am I wrong by suggesting that, my friend?
You are not at all. I have had my AG1 today. I got to ask you this, John. Have you had your AG1 yet?
I have, because with one delicious scoop of AG1, you're absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source, superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens to help you start your day right. It's a special blend of ingredients supporting your gut health, your nervous system, your immune system, your energy recovery, focus, aging, all those things. I'll tell you, Matt, I am legitimately dragging with this daylight saving time change, and AG1 helps. Is it hard for you to get going every morning with it?
No, I love daylight savings time. When it's light later, I'm good with it. I'm good with it all day long. AG1 just helps improve my experience.
That's what I'm saying. So I'm taking AG1 to help get me going just a little bit more, because listen, let's face the realities here. A ton of people take some kind of multivitamin to start their day. So it's important to choose one with high quality ingredients that your body is actually going to absorb. And AG1 is a small micro habit with big time benefits that you can do for yourself every single day, and it's going to cost you less than $3 per day, so that's cheaper than running out to your favorite coffee shop, getting a chai tea latte or whatever you're putting in your body. It's cheaper than getting all those different supplements yourself. It is an all-in-one nutritional insurance. And we here at the Extreme Life of Matt Hardy, we encourage you to join us in partaking and indulging in AG1. It's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutritional insurance. Just one scoop in a cup of water every single day. That's it. No need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health. And to make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune supporting vitamin D. And how many free travel packs, Matt Hardy?
5 free travel packs. Indulge. I love the fact that you use that word. Broken Matt Hardy loves to indulge in AG1s.
I know that he does. You can get that all with your first purchase. All you got to do is visit athleticgreens.com/Hardy. Again, that's athleticgreens.com/Hardy to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. You brought up something very important just there, though, before. You said that you would have liked to have seen the introduction of the House Hardy a little earlier to when the WWE audience got a chance to meet them. Now, in TNA, House Hardy was a huge part of the Broken Matt story and the Broken Universe. Massive part. Well, I think we talked about on the final Deletion episode, it really came down to all these different characters that made you care, and the settings were characters. Right before, the week before we get the Ultimate Deletion, that's our first time that we're seeing all of these different characters. That's the first time we're seeing Queen Rebecca on WWE television and the Dome of Deletion and all these special places. My opinion as a fan, that hinders the investment, Matt, in how much people are going to put these pieces together. Sure, if you follow TNA, okay. But as we know, the TNA audience, although maybe vocal, was relatively small compared to the WWE audience. And I do feel like that may have affected how this thing actually stuck the landing with people. What's your take on that?
I think it would have helped us if once, Broken Matt Hardy as Woken Matt Hardy started. I feel like if we would have introduced, like Queen Rebecca, Senior Benjamin, I think in small little tidbits, I think it would have went so far. It would have went a long ways, especially, if we had that guarantee we were going to have that cinematic match eventually and they could play little roles in it. And it's so funny, even like when they popped up, I mean, they all got big reactions too. In the Ultimate Deletion, Queen Rebecca played Bray Wyatt's theme song. I mean, what a host I am. I mean, I invite you to my house to like delete you, but I'm going to give you your own entrance music, the coolest version you've ever had. Senior Benjamin, whenever he popped up from underneath the boat, it was once again big pop live there. I was actually at the arena and watched it live whenever we did that. It's funny, I sent you some screenshots about it when it was trending, and the first ones were like at 10 something. We were somewhere in Central Time, I know, whenever it aired. So like I'd done that weekend of house shows. I did the deal and we sat around there and we watched it because they played to the live crowd. I wanted to hear the reactions of the live crowd. And I stayed the whole night and actually watched it right outside with the live crowd so I could hear the reactions to it. And there were big pops whenever they saw members that they knew. Vanguard 1 got a huge pop too. Vanguard 1, just so important. So important to the Broken Universe as well. But all of those characters, if they could have been introduced weeks earlier or months earlier, it would have gone a long ways, I think, John.
Who came up with the name The Ultimate Deletion?
That was mine.
Why The Ultimate Deletion?
Just trying to piggyback. I mean, obviously, when I came up with the Fire Deletion, which was Jeff's, which was the stuff with me and Brother Nero, it's like where he had beat me in all these matches, and this is like the last time. And whenever I beat him in this, then I get all the rights to the Hardy name and trademark and the legacy of all things that are Hardy. So the Final Deletion I thought was a very fitting name. Like, this is the final time I'm going to delete him, and then it's going to change. And then the best thing I could come up with was the Ultimate Deletion, and that was something we finally got Vince to sign off on and approve, because I wanted to put like some finality to it, and that's more or less why I was looking for a name like that.
In the weeks leading up, did you know that this was going to lead to a significant character change for Bray?
Yeah, I mean, we had talked about that, and that was cool. And I want to say too, Vince said, yeah, whatever this lake thing is, you guys do, like, let's, if Bray goes into this lake where he changes, and then this will be his change. He'll come and he'll return at WrestleMania and he'll help you win that Battle Royal or whatever. So yeah, that was actually, I think Vince actually put that forward, and he was cool with that. And he understood that concept to a degree. Like, I don't think he got how outrageous the Lake of Reincarnation could get, but he did get that that's where a character goes in and it like drastically changes their character, whatever it may be.
Was there ever any talk? I want to circle back to this real quick. Was there ever talk of bringing the House Hardy to television at all? Like, I'm not talking just vignettes, like having Rebby show up in a vignette live with you backstage or something like that. Was there ever any discussions of that?
No, there wasn't. I know there were a couple times, like, I know I had pitched at one time to have an entrance with her and like even do the piano, like, in conjunction with the music that I had, the song that they made, the theme for Woken Matt Hardy, which we weren't able to make that happen. But no, I would have been very cool with that. I thought that would have been cool to have them like live at the arena and appear in front of the crowd.
Yeah. Did you like the Woken Matt theme?
I did. That was a big Hunter thing. Hunter was really hands-on with doing that. And talked to the guy doing music at that time. And like, when I first heard it, I was like, well, this is a big drastic change from Moonlight Sonata, the third, but I dug it and I got into it. And eventually I got it down. I really ended up liking it a lot. It was like the Monster Magnet song, Live for the Moment. At first I wasn't sure, but it grew on me a lot as time went on. Yeah,
it actually grew on me too. I didn't like it at first either, but after a few weeks I was like, okay, this fits. It works with him and your little facial expressions that you were doing as well. So I'd imagine there's a lot of anticipation here leading up to the Ultimate Deletion. What was first of all, I guess I should ask, how many weeks out was this shot?
This was shot about a week out. Yeah, it was about a week out. I want to say, because it aired right on, we're doing this episode because it's March 19th is the day.
5-year anniversary this week.
Yeah. I think it was shot March 12th was the week before. It was shot maybe like March 9th, March 10th, I want to say. Something along those lines.
Gotcha. Okay. What was the anticipation like backstage amongst the locker room? This is going to be their first real taste of the Broken Universe in its essence.
But people were pretty excited to see it, especially just knowing all the craziness that we created at TNA. I know there were a lot of people who's like, because I'd had a version of it after it was done, like, 24 hours before, 36 hours before. And they said, no, I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it. I just want to watch it live. I want to watch it live. So that was cool that people were excited to see it.
We call that a locker room sellout amongst the boys, right? Where they're all gathered around the TV.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those things where just like, they want to sit in front of the TV and they're like, entertain me, you sons of bitches, and that's what they were looking for, whatever, 15, 16 minutes of entertainment.
I do think that is one of the coolest things when there's like a high profile match or something that people really want to see, and you'll legitimately get the locker room huddled around a TV or a monitor wanting to see the match unfold. Do you have any recollections of a locker room sellout per se that stick out to you over the course of your career?
The biggest locker room sellout that I can think of that stands out is WrestleMania 15, if I'm not mistaken, which was Butterbean versus Bart Gunn. there were a lot of people that really thought like Bart Gunn was going to like become this huge name when he beat Butterbean, and there were a lot of people, me being one, was like, I don't know, this guy's like done boxing his whole career, and he's like pretty much a badass. There was a huge locker room sellout for that match specifically, and the mood kind of came down at the very end of that, because now you have Bart Gunn who beat everyone else, and I went on to face Butterbean, and then he got massacred, knocked out cold by Butterbean. So that's the biggest locker room sellout I can think about, and it was pretty torn towards the end of it.
Well, the good news, Matt Hardy, is that there are sellouts or near sellouts all the time, whether it's in the locker room or at a concert, a wrestling event, whatever it may be. And with our newest partners over at Game Time, you don't got to worry about that, because Game Time is specializing in last-minute tickets with the lowest price guaranteed. Matt, I'm all about our partners here at Game Time, because if I wanted to get those last-minute, hypothetically, Bruce Springsteen tickets,
Yes, sir.
I'm going to our pals over at Game Time. You're someone that, and I say this with all due respect, I've known you pretty well at this point, you like to kind of push the clock a little bit. You wait till the last minute sometimes to get something done, but you always get it done efficiently. How perfect does that make Game Time for you when you're purchasing tickets for events?
It's a match made in heaven. I was just going to say, if there's anybody in Winnipeg that is wanting to snatch some AEW tickets last minute, Game Time would be the way to go, because it's almost sold out tonight. But Game Time, they can hook you up.
And here's all you got to do. You download the Game Time app, and it's going to show you all the upcoming events in your area. And what I love about this app, and I so mean this genuinely, as somebody who perpetually buys concert tickets and event tickets, I buy them all the time, especially last minute.
Yes, especially Springsteen.
Especially Springsteen, which we are going on 9 shows for this tour. I'm fine. Everything's great. Okay. And Game Time might hook me up with a 10th. Just saying as we tape this. But what I want to say about this is what I love most that you won't see on most other apps is that you get a view from your seat in most of the cases. You can see, you click the seat that you want to purchase, and you'll get a view from that, which is fantastic, because that puts perspective on what I'm going to be spending my money on, right? Like that's huge.
Right.
And this is my absolute favorite part right here, Matt. Ready for this? They have something called all-in pricing. And you know a thing or two about being all in and all out.
Yes.
Well, Game Time shows you all-in pricing, which means you click the option, you can toggle it on, and it will include all of the fees right up front. So no more finding a super cheap ticket and then going into checkout and seeing hundreds of dollars of fees added to your order. You see everything added up right in front of you. We love transparency, do we not?
We're all about the transparency here. All about it.
It's one of our biggest things that we promote here on the Extreme Life of Matt Hardy. The Game Time guarantee means you're always going to get the best price on your tickets. If you find tickets in the same section and rows for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. This is we're not talking wee fees and large charges here, Matt. We're talking the lowest prices that you're going to find out on the ticket market, and we want to help you out with our friends at Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code Hardy for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code Hardy for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Snag the tickets without the stress with Game Time. What do you think you're going to be using your Game Time discount on with the Queen, perhaps? What might you want to save up and take her to see?
She has a lot of particular favorite bands. Maybe I'll look into that. I think that would work. I mean, for me, if I was doing it personally, maybe I could even twist her arm a little bit and get her to go to a Pearl Jam or Kings of Leon concert.
Well, with that all-in pricing, you'll know exactly what you're paying up front, brother.
100% will. Maybe even I can drag her out to a Public Enemy show.
I was going to say, she has experience in the NWA front, so maybe you could get some crossover appeal there. I did see The Cure is going on tour, and I know Gothic Baby is big into The Cure.
Right. She falls asleep to it quite often.
I got to tell you, that video you posted of Gothic Baby with her giggling around chasing you, I mean, how great was that?
It was. She loves to run. She's full of so much energy. She has so much personality already. She's an amazing young lady.
I called them the Gothic giggles that we saw.
Yeah,
as she was chasing you down. I love that. All right, Matt. I think it's time, my friend, to watch the Ultimate Deletion, and we are going to watch the raw and uncut version. If you would like to watch with us, you can head over to WWE's YouTube channel, and they have the entire uncut version. That is the version that we will be watching. How much of this was trimmed down for airing on Raw?
That's how it aired on Raw. What is uploaded on the YouTube
That's
channel?
what I thought. We saw the whole thing. I was surprised because I remember they dropped this right after, and it was like the uncut version. And I was wondering, I
had to work really hard to get them to upload that. I told them that was my suggestion. I thought this was going to do good, and if we're going to continue to go this way with Broken Matt Hardy, I think we should upload this because I think it will do good on YouTube and it will expose people to what our cinematic version of matches is.
Was there pushback on that?
I'm sure there was. But it was one thing they ended up doing. They uploaded it a few days after. It took a few days to get it done. But I'll never forget. Like I told them, and when the final deletion aired, if they would have uploaded it the next day or directly thereafter, it would have made so much money for them on YouTube because there were so many pirate versions that were uploaded all over the internet, everywhere, doing millions of views at a time. And it took me a month to get them to upload it finally. And then, still it sits at 2-point-something million views or whatever. But if they would have done it first, it would have been a 20 million view type thing, 20 to 30 million views or whatever.
Well, let's not waste any more time. It's time for us to queue up the Ultimate Deletion.
Hey guys, need to call a quick timeout here. Wanted to tell your listeners what I've been telling my listeners over at OU Didn't Know for a while now about all the cool things happening over at adsfreeshows.com.
The Wrestling Wars are heating up as David Crockett and Conrad revisit March of 1985 on The Book. Vince has brought WrestleMania 1 to life, while Jim Crockett Promotions is preparing to be back on TBS television.
And you got Dusty Rhodes and Tully Blanchard on top, Magnum TA and Ivan Koloff for the U.S. title, $5,200 at the gate. And meanwhile, while that show's happening, WrestleMania is becoming a thing. And the Wrestling Wars are about to heat up because just 1 week from now, you guys are back on TBS.
Former WWE executive John Filippelli sits down with Conrad on an all-new edition of The Insiders and discusses his tumultuous relationship with Bruce Pritchard during his time with the company.
Vince was trying to, I think there were times where he tried to sort of get us to try and work together better than we were. And I was quite candid about how I felt about him, about that I didn't appreciate him undermining us or me, and I would have no part of it. And I told Vin, if he doesn't straighten his act out, I don't want, he's got to go. Either he goes or I go.
Ad-free shows members recently got to chat live with the Enforcer, Arn Anderson, and hear stories of legends like the late, great Bobby the Brain Heenan.
Sharpest, funniest, wittiest guy there's ever been on this earth. I could look at Bobby and go, "Hey, Bobby, you got a bump on your neck." Before I could get neck out of my mouth, he had to come back. Boom, boom, boom. And just hilarious.
That's just a small taste of what we got waiting for you. With 4 levels to choose from, see for yourself why ads-free shows is the best value in wrestling today. Sign up now at adsfreeshows.com.
All right, guys. So get your videos started at 0000, and you won't be able to hear it here, but Matt and I are going to be watching. And if we stop it all, we'll let you know and pause. Because Matt, if there's anything that you want to make notes on and have some great stories about, please let us know, and let's get down to it. Because I know you've got some Vince McMahon stories coming in and out of this. So here we go in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, begin. And right out of the gate, we get the old Bray Wyatt vignettes and a scenic view of the Hardy compound here.
Mm-hmm.
How big of a crew are we talking for this thing?
There were like 3 different crews. So it was a little too much, a little excessive. There were 3 lighting crews. There were 3 filming crews. And I think that was a little problematic whenever we were like moving locations. It was just too big. But once again, they were doing it WWE style. So I appreciate them going all in on it.
Was that a big adjustment as compared to the 4-man crew that you do with some of the Final Deletion stuff?
Yes, quite different. This thing here, I love the fact that we started right with the gate. You see Bray walking in. That means you're kind of like entering the confines of the Hardy compound. And once again, I just still Bray with his little lantern, so good. Yeah, I love how we kept going. I was a big fan of the Vanguard 1 graphics. I liked what they did there. They turned it into a green version. It was red before, but now it was green. Everybody tries to put their own touch on it.
Yeah, I'm good with that. Again, I wish we would have seen more of Vanguard 1 prior to this. Like, even in the arena, they could have so easily flown a drone in the arena.
Yeah, I would have loved to have done that. At least had him backstage, introduce the character. And this was cool. This was my idea about having Queen Rebecca playing his theme on the piano, because it was something that, translated over very easy to her on piano, and I thought it would be cool. And then we go like through a couple hundred feet of woods here, and this is back over like by Jeff's place. And this ring was set up in the exact same place where the Final Deletion ring was set up.
That's what I was going to ask you about. This is the closest cinematic match to the Final Deletion. Are you borrowing any ideas from the Final Deletion as you're putting this thing together?
I didn't want to borrow ideas, but I did want to do callbacks.
My whole these are homages. Gotcha.
Yeah. That was my whole idea in doing this. I wanted to put some new stuff on it, and we have a thing here. I'll never forget JB, Jeremy Borash. He said, "Oh my God, they missed the shot." Because like we had a camera that shot it one time where Bray is over my shoulder. When I go, "Bray Wyatt, I knew you'd come." And they like did it from the side. And he's like, "Oh, why didn't they put the shot in?" Because JB was around and got to interact with him on this, but he wasn't part of the official shooting and editing of this version, because he just came to WWE at this time.
Do you think it would have been even better if JB had been involved with it?
Yes, I do. He was involved with that House Hardy Halloween special we did on the network, which I think he added a lot to that.
Yeah, that's a fun special.
Right here, we're laughing at one another. And that's why I say, enough. The time for laughing is over. And then we go get serious from that point. And once again, that was a little dig at just Vince making us laugh week in and week out.
Around what time of the night are we talking about here?
We're at probably 9:30, 10 o'clock right here.
Okay. That is important context.
Yeah.
As I'm sure we'll.
I want to say it was one of those where it got dark. It got dark around 8, and then we did those first couple scenes of him walking through the gate, and then we had to move crews and get here to the ring, and then obviously this stuff we did in the ring, we probably did a couple takes of it, but like we burned through this pretty quick. These are one of the things that that you can do pretty quickly, because it's just like contained in the ring action. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to be honest to you. We both started with our jackets. It was it was fucking 25 degrees outside this night. We're doing this. That's why we both started with our jackets on too. You got to remember this. This was, early in March, and it is still cold in March sometimes.
Yeah.
So we didn't draw the warm night card out of the hat. We drew the cold night card.
Now I'll ask you, because I asked you something similar with the Final Deletion episode. When you guys are running these spots in the rings, is this just like putting together a normal match at this point?
Well, not yes and no. I mean, you do. I wanted this to have like some similarity to a normal match. Start like this. Once again, introducing this concept to WWE fans who've never seen this before, because that's still the mentality I was going. There's a lot of people that'll get these callbacks to the Final Deletion, but there's also a lot of people that have never seen this before. So let's start it as like this regular match, just out in the woods, out in the forest, as my wife and kids say now because they've been trained to say. So I want to start it with a little bit of a normalcy.
All right, so now we get Vanguard 1 initiating Broomstick Protocol, which is to call for the pyro.
Boomstick.
Sorry, Boomstick. My apologies. It's still early where we're taping this. The Boomstick Protocol. Yes.
I do love this shot. I love this shot, how they got it from above up here. Those shots are the things that made the Final Deletion. And just, I love it when I said like Vanguard 1, initiate. And Bray's like, initiate what? Initiate what? And you see like a little worrying concern.
Did the production crew watch the Final Deletion in preparation for this?
They did.
Okay.
They did, yes. And most of them were pretty big fans of it anyway.
Okay.
I do remember that there was some chair shot in there. I'm not sure which one it was. Michael Hayes was out here kind of running this project too. He said, we got to do that again. He said, we got to lay that in more. And I remember Michael said, like, whatever you did there in at Impact or TNA, said, we have to do it better. So just keep that in mind. So, I'd had this stuff run down, and this, I remember it took a long time to switch the lights and the crew to this area. So now, like, we've probably moved to we're probably near 11:30 or midnight right now while we're shooting this.
Okay.
Because this was a little ways away, and electricity was the issue here, because like the electricity had to be run from Jeff's house, which was like 1,200 feet away. It was pretty far away. So it took a while to set up all these lights and whatnot. This was also another thing I wanted to do, was like a callback to Bray stuff, almost like have him remember and go through this trauma of his home being burnt, being destroyed by Randy Orton, and it's a bit of a distraction.
I have no problem with that. You're connecting story too. I like that.
Yeah. Bray was real into this too. He dug this little twist in it as well. And I love the fact the editing they did on that was above and beyond to me. I really liked it a lot. I liked the stuff that they added, scenes from Bray's history.
There was one thing I noticed that we're going to see throughout the course of this is when you guys moved over to the Dilapidated City, we saw the little title card come up. Was that just a way of making the crowd familiar with where they were?
Yeah, and once again, that was my idea, and I pitched to do that, and I even said it in, when I first wrote my version of it to Ed Koski, and it was cool that got approved. That got approved.
It feels like
yes,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I said no. I was cool that got approved because I really feels like that allows the fans to be familiarized with the Hardy compound and all the different little areas, especially if we're going to do stuff like this going forward.
I guess what I was just saying is it would not have been necessary had we taken the time in the weeks prior to introduce the crowd to this environment. So it does feel almost a little rushed, in my opinion, but I'm glad that you did it for the sake of bringing that casual audience.
And if you notice, in one of the vignettes I did a couple weeks before, I mentioned like the land of obsolete men, as it is here, or the dilapidated boat, whatever. Now, we can pause right here.
We are pausing. Okay.
Yes. So when we got to this point, I can tell you, whenever we moved down to this area, once again, this was very far from Jeff's place too. This is like right on the edge of our property on Jeff's side.
Is this your pet cemetery?
This is Jeff's pet cemetery. This reeks of Jeff. I mean, if you look at all these tombstones, which are really tombstones for his pets that he's had throughout the years, that reeks of Jeff, and that says Jeff Hardy through and through and through. So it's about 1:30 at this time, and like they kept trying to contact Vince, Michael Hayes, Ed Koski, all these guys, and then eventually, so okay, we're talking with Vince. Give us a few minutes, and like everybody pulled away. So now they're all huddling. All the production team are talking with Vince right on the phone. Keep in mind, it's like 1 o'clock, 1:30, and we've already shot a bunch of stuff, as you can see already. So Vince said, I just got to ask you, like, is this, are they doing like, bells and whistles shit? This should be like, absurd stuff. This should be over the top, super campy. He said, like, I don't want any serious wrestling bullshit. If they wrestled in a ring, and they said, well, there was they had a match in the beginning, like, 3, 4, 5 minutes where they were doing some spots, kind of like starting off slow and like building the story up, whatever. And Vince said, well, that's enough of that shit. I don't want any more serious wrestling at all. Because following this, we were going to go back to the ring. I was going to have the advantage. I was going to jump Bray coming out of this. I was going to have him in trouble. We were going to go to the ring where Jeff did the swanton off the tree when I was on the ladder in the final deletion. I had 2 tables I was going to set up, put Bray on the bottom table. I was going to come off that tree. I'd build a stand on it and everything to go up there, and I'd already practiced it. I was going to jump off the stand and leg drop him through the 2 tables, and he was going to move, which was going to put me in jeopardy to kind of go like into the heat aspect of the match. But Vince, they said, well, they have this one more spot in the ring. He said, nothing else in the ring. No more of this shit. No more. And I thought that would have been a real cool spot because I wanted to still incorporate the wrestling ring and wrestling spots and TLC shit in this. You see a ladder, which happens later. But then, like, once they got that call from Vince, they said, okay, well, we can't go back to the ring. Vince said he don't want any more of this in wrestling bullshit. He said he wants this, like, campy. He wants this, like, over the top. This is, supposed to be fun. I want it, larger than life, absurd to a degree. And we end up doing this. And I want to say this was Michael Hayes' idea. And looking back, it works for me in the broken universe because it is fantastical. It is over the top. And I remember so it's kind of like, you're going to play some music. What is this, kind of like a Benny Hill spot? And that's like universally, that became known as the Benny Hill spot. Whenever we do this, you see me popping up behind these different, Jeff Hardy inspired tombstones, and you see Bray smashing them all. And then they like fast forward it where you just see Bray and it cuts back and forth. And then I do that silly little run off, which, there were so many memes and gifs or gifs of that.
Well, there's 2 things I want to say about that. Number one, isn't it ironic that here's the man that put you guys in serious wrestling matches that didn't work, and now he's like, all right, no more wrestling, pal, in this thing. I think there's a degree of irony there. And the other thing, too, I've listened to so much of Something to Wrestle with Bruce Pritchard. It amazes me that over time, Vince stepped back so much from this as his crews grew. But for something like this, had this happened in the year 1996, Vince would have been there the entire time. He would have traveled to Cameron, North Carolina, and he would have seen this shoot through from 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. He would have been there the entire time. And so you're just pretty much communicating with him via phone here, the crew is?
Yeah, via phone. But I mean, the meeting happened like at 1:15, 1:30 a.m. And that was the first time they really got an outline of like what was allowed and what Vince's vision was and what he really wanted. Because I kept asking him, I said, if you guys start with Vince, as far as shooting all this, I said, no, we're just waiting to be in touch with him. And he kind of ghosted everyone until like, the wee hours of the night. It was 1:15, 1:30 when they heard him. And he also, one of my favorite suggestions, they said, no, I like this lake concept. I like this, how it changes the character. That's great. That's great shit, pal. Good shit. He said, like, what I could see is like Bray gets knocked into the lake. And then all of a sudden we have like a false finish where he pops out of the lake, but he's got a fish in his mouth. And then he sinks back down, which reminds me of like a Jason Voorhees, right? Like Jason popping down the lake, then back down, a false finish. And they mentioned something about this. He said, you think we can get a fish? I said, dude, we're in Cameron, North Carolina. And now it's like, when they're telling me this, it's 2:00 in the morning. I said, it's 2:00 in the morning. It's not like you can just like go to a bait and tackle store that's open 24 hours. I don't think we want to spend time catching a fish out by the lake of reincarnation either. So what that fish thing, and he said, well, if you can't do it, you can't do it. But I think that'd be great. I think that'd be great. And I felt like the finish of the match needed to be like half as serious, especially because it was going to change Bray's character.
That would have been too goofy.
Now, I think a goofy moment with a character coming out with a fish in his mouth works at some point if it's just like a comedy part of the match or a scene. Right. But I thought at the very end, it's like he needs to disappear and be gone, and he doesn't return until he returns, and then he's changed. So I didn't personally felt like that fit, but in a different setting, I would totally be cool with doing that. Absolutely. But just like the fact that it's 2 a.m. and he wants us to go get a fish, and like put the fish in Bray's mouth, have him come out, was just so funny to me at that time.
I mean, that is very much Vince McMahon. All right, guys, we're at the 8:03 mark of this video. We're going to resume in 3, 2, 1. So we get Bray running around trying to find you. You will never get this. You will never get this. And as you said,
And
Benny Hill.
I keep calling him different versions of Eater, Devour, Consumer. And right here, this is where it goes full Benny Hill, right? He's running around. You see these different versions of where is he? Where is he? And this run,
little Jimmy leg run there. I love it.
Jimmy leg run. You're right.
So Bray has recognized you're gone. That's how I knew it's Jeff's property, the Bobcat there.
Yeah, we were also going to do a spot off the Bobcat. I was going to jump on him off the Bobcat and knock him into one of the graves. We had an open grave out there. That was the initial spot we were going to do, and then I was going to take him to the ring, but then the ring got ixnayed, obviously. So now this was going to be after I jumped out of the tree and crashed and burned through the 2 tables he was on. He was going to beat me back to the Dome of Deletion. So now we just picked up on what we were going to do from the original plan.
I actually did think it was funny when I watched it back yesterday before we taped this that he got into the heat pretty quickly here. Like you hit a move on him, he just turned you around, and then we're into the heat. We get a pinfall attempt, just 2. Back of the head.
And this is so funny. I mean, we're literally fighting out like right by my house, right on the edge of the woods.
We're near the Dome of Deletion, as you said.
Yes.
If I'm not, this is the main event of the show, correct?
Correct. Yes, this went on last.
Man, I mean, that must have been such a let's cross our fingers kind of moment here too, right?
Yeah, but honestly, too, I don't think they really had any option. I mean, if you're going to show it to the crowd, I mean, when else are you going to do it? I don't think you want to during the show a 20-minute segment with commercials in it or whatever, 21-minute segment, during the middle of the show and not have any action in the ring. I almost feel like it had to be on last.
All right, we are in the Dome of Deletion officially. You're crawling in.
Mm-hmm. I love the fact too that Bray magically opened the door with his own mind. He can even do things here at the Dome of Deletion.
I think the Dome of Deletion might be my favorite part of the House Hardy.
Oh yeah,
There's
a
lot of lore in the Dome of Deletion. Randomly, there's a piano chilling there.
Yeah, it's so funny. Barty was just saying the other day. He said, "Mama, why do you have so many pianos?" She said, "Which one do you like better, the white one or the black one?" She said, "I have all those pianos because I deserve all those pianos."
That sounds like something your wife would say to her. Sounds like something your wife would say to a 3-year-old. So
yeah, she fired up on him. So here we go. Once again, we're going to have some tables, and we'd had a little chair earlier. It was also very important to me considering this was WWE, I wanted to incorporate the TLC aspect of my career into all this too. So it was very disappointing we didn't get to do that big table spot.
But we do have the ladder.
We do have the ladder. We had the chair earlier with Bray, so we got two out of 3 ain't bad, as they say, I guess.
Yes, and now we are setting up for what I think Matt Hardy is, in my opinion, the most memorable moment from the Ultimate Deletion.
Yeah.
Which is going to be your internal quarrel over whether to use the chair of wheels or the mower of lawn. Go ahead. Why don't you give us some broken Matt here? How would that sound?
Yeah. Yes. Chair of wheels, more of lawn. Chair of wheels, more of lawn. Chair of wheels, more of lawn. Yes, wonderful. You had to get a little more intense with each one of those.
That part got big.
That was that meme and that video was everywhere. It still gets. I get it all the time now. It's used so much. One thing I really wish the production would have done different is like here, whenever we're playing, like I really wish there would have been like you hear the motor going and then Bray's like doing magic. But I wish you could have heard the engine stop like, and it was like louder because that's what we ended up doing here. That he stopped the Moor of Lawns because he's a magical being as well.
He's spooky.
He's very spooky.
He's spooky, pal. We're back in a ring. So
back
we're
in the
okay
ring.
going back in the ring here. This isn't a problem.
I mean, it was cut very short, as you can see.
Yeah.
We're gonna do a little extra here, but this was just another spot for Bray to stop me.
Ooh.
So
Hardest
we were,
part of the ring,
and I think it's the hardest part of the ring, right? I think I had to fight a little bit. I was like, no, come on, we need to do this. We're in this whole dome deletion. Like this ring has been. It was this ring is kind of what started the whole broken stuff when Jeff and I had the deal. That was the first thing that really was the insanely polarizing segment between Broken Matt and Brother Nero. The very first time I said, Brother Nero, I knew you'd come, and I brought him out. I said, we must go to the genesis of our beginning, or whatever nonsense I said is Broken Matt Hardy. That was the ring. So it's just like, I felt like, once again, it was very important to see this ring in the Dome of Deletion, because this was such a major part of, the Final Deletion, the Leader Decay, Apocalypto. So I wanted that represented. I love when Bray says, time to go home. Time to go home.
That's right. I do like that the match is kind of set up in chapters too.
Yeah. It is definitely definitely, and I almost feel like you could say it's different chapters depending on what the geography of the Hardy compound we were at.
I think that's what you're using as the chapter markers, where you are on the compound.
Because you see right here, Lake of Reincarnation, which is was a huge character in the Broken Universe saga.
Certainly so. Things aren't looking good for Woken Matt here.
He's asking for his old friend Skarsgård. It's just, it's great that we got to see all the characters again, which, they did me right by that. We got to see all the old characters. And here's Bray about to give me a Sister Abigail onto Skarsgård.
The Vanguard one is there for you.
That was an interesting shot where we were a little concerned about that. Like, how drones move pretty fast. Just him catching it, and like with those blades and stuff, they'll chop you up if they hit you.
Oh, yeah. Oh, he caught it perfectly, and that
he did.
That's your cutoff spot there, Matt. Because
now all of a sudden, Skarsgård, Hardy compound magic.
Look at that.
Senior Benjamin.
Whose idea was this?
This was mine originally. I mean, like I kind of did a lot of this, and I ran it by Bray, and he seemed cool with all that. And then
only time
Jeff
we ever see Brother Nero. That's the only time we ever see Brother Nero in WWE.
He was very happy to put those contacts on it this time.
I'm sure he was. Twist of fate.
So, I mean, obviously, we get two of the, Senior Benjamin hugely over during the first initial run of the Broken Universe. We get to see him, and he appears on WWE programming. Pretty amazing. And then, obviously, Jeff Hardy, one of the most over superstars of all time. So that was definitely the time to go to the finish after that. That was going to be a big hot spot. And here's the part where he's going in the lake. And, I'm so sad if Vince would suggest it earlier, maybe we could have that fish form. We could have had Bray come out like Jason Voorhees with the fish in his mouth, wiggling around.
And that is
so,
it. Matt Hardy has won the Ultimate Deletion.
Yeah, and then I'm asking Senior Benjamin to go and procure his carcass. So I've got some funny stories, which I'm going to hit right at the very end of this. And you're probably right. We're at like 4:30, 5 a.m. right now. And I remember like Bray was hauling ass out of here because I want to say he had like a 7:30, 8 a.m. flight. I think most of them did. Most everybody flew home that next morning.
Hope you got a good shower in, Matt Hardy. I can after falling into the waters there, but you have won the Ultimate Deletion. Bray's body is nowhere to be found. You have deleted him successfully, and it also helped that you had none other than Senor Benjamin there. And rumor has it, Matt Hardy, that's what I've been hearing around the compound these days, that Senor Benjamin in particular has been pretty damn busy with a new product.
He has. The Whacker of Weeds.
The Whacker of Weeds. Go ahead.
It's not the one you think. It is the Manscaped Whacker of Weeds. He loves it. And I got to say, I use it on my nose hair. Senior Benjamin uses it on his nose hair. It's very beneficial to have a Whacker of Weeds, a weed whacker. once you get a little bit older, because that hair is very annoying and you want to get rid of it. And nobody does it better than Manscaped.
We're talking about the Whacker of Weeds 2.0 in particular, because that is part of the brand new nose and ear hair trimmer package that Manscaped is offering with the Beard Hedger Package Pro Kit. It is the ultimate package that makes it easier than ever to craft your signature look. Matt Hardy, I know that as you go through these different versions, including Broken Matt, that facial hair and the nose hair, it gets to be a bit much sometimes. And now Manscaped, they're helping you trim above the belt. How have they helped you?
They have certainly helped me with my nose hair, my ear hair. You know, I got to tell you, John, if it makes you feel any better, your hair growth only gets worse as you get older. So, yeah, it's great. You should definitely use your weed whacker. Make sure you keep it charged. And anytime you need to trim up that nose hair, that ear hair, any annoying hair, it'll get it done for you.
Was that a nice fresh shave you had right there and you used the weed whacker that we're seeing?
You know it was. I cleaned up my nose, man. My nose feels like $1 million. I breathe better now.
Man, the brand new Weed Whacker 2.0 offers improved blades and skin-safe technology with a no-tugging guarantee. It's never been so painless to mind your manholes. We're talking about a waterproof cordless trimmer that has a rotary wheel that gives you 20 hair cutting lengths, all with one guard, one Vanguard. That's all you need. No more messy drawers full of extra ads-on, and the Pro Kit also comes with 4 dermatologist-tested formulations for your post-trim care, including Manscaped's beard shampoo and conditioner, beard oil, and beard balm to moisturize, style, and shimmer your new beard. Manscaped wants to hook you up. So do we at the Extreme Life of Matt Hardy. Go to manscaped.com. Use our code Hardy for 20% off and free shipping. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com. Use code Hardy. Always use the right tools for the job with our friends over at Manscaped. Okay, Matt, we just watched The Ultimate Deletion, watching it back for the first time in a while. How you feeling about it?
I enjoyed it. And once again, I'm very happy that it happened, and I'm very grateful that WWE and the Emperor, Vince McMahon, gave us the opportunity to do that. And looking back, I think it turned out really good. And it ended up being a win at the end of the day. Like, I know it trended #1 worldwide for about 3.5 hours after the show. As I sent you those receipts, like every 15 minutes, I was like checking. I was so hyped and so excited that like people were buzzing about it. And overall, it was very positively received. And I got to tell the story at the very end of the night too. So I know you said that you hope Bray got a shower at the end. He did end up jumping in the shower at my place, and he took one before he left. But he also didn't go in the lake. We did the editing of TV magic to make it look like he went in the lake. So we were out there, and he's like, "No, I'll go in the lake. Like I want to do it. Like I don't want to fake it. Whatever." And Michael Hayes said, "Like I can't do this in good confidence. It's like a little over 20 degrees. I can't let you go in there and get into it." I said, "Michael, I'll tackle him in. How about that? And we'll both go in. We'll go in simultaneously, and then I'll come out, and then I'll send Senior Benjamin in, and then he can see that the body's gone, so he has been transformed or whatever." Another funny thing was that shot that they did with Senior Benjamin at the very end, where he went in with the big boots on, and he was like poking around trying to find him. So we didn't know this at the beginning, but he had a hole in his boots. I guess they got torn a little bit. So he was sitting in there, and he said, "Oh, we need to like change a shot or square up 1 second." He said, "Just stay right there, Senior. Please stay right there." And he was sitting there, and he was like, he was shaking. I said, "You all right, Vinny?" He said, yes. And he didn't tell us until later, like one of his boots was full of water. And, it was like 20, 22, 23 degrees. And he was in water, like standing there for like 10 minutes, while they were, squaring up that shot, which was crazy. But both Bray and I, we wanted to go in the water, but we were shut down by Michael Hayes. Maybe the right decision, but we're up for doing whatever. We wanted to look as authentic as possible.
Was Michael Hayes about the broken character? Was he into it?
Yeah, I mean, I know he said whatever you did at TNA, he said we got to do it better. We got to do more. So this has to look better. This is WWE. It has to be better. It has to be more. Yeah, he did. I mean, I think he thought some of it was weird. It was strange. It wasn't necessarily his cup of tea, but he did understand that it made a connection with fans, and they liked it. So for that, he definitely has respect, because he he understands, like, if a character connects and gets over, and like people are cheering or booing or doing their taunts, that character's over, and he's kind of open-minded to whatever, even if it is something that's not necessarily their cup of tea. He gets that you don't always just get to help or book things that are your cup of tea that you're a fan of. And I think that's something that's very important to remember as a promoter, even if it's something that you don't necessarily like or you don't necessarily get. If the people like it, then you got to kind of roll with it. You can't just book the show for you. You have to think about the greater good. You have to think about the totality of your product and what people like and whatnot.
It does pull more than 3 million in the third hour, so that's got to be considered a success to some degree. But it is an interesting reaction. Like you said, with the fans, it got over pretty well. But I want to read this note from the Observer here. Dave says, Ultimate Deletion is one of those things that some will love and some will hate. I'm all for different, and I do think it'll help build the Hardy merchandise and greatly helps their character. Without it, they were being treated like the usual over 40 characters in WWE, which they just used to put people over. It was weird because before the segment, Michael Cole, and this had to be on the orders from Vince, he says, apologized for the segment right before airing it. And then on the Hulu version, it was edited off the show entirely. That's pretty significant. He says live in the building, they didn't air it at all and instead did a segment with Strowman, Elias, and Kane. Is that Matt fact or is that Matt fiction?
They did air another segment. I thought they aired part of it in the building, though.
They might have.
I stayed around to watch it. I mean, it aired. It was on all the monitors backstage.
Okay.
I feel like a little bit of it wasn't. They did do another segment. I do know that they ended the night with, which probably was Braun Strowman, whatever. So yeah, I'm not 100% the whole thing aired, but I definitely know they teased it. They played a little bit of it to the audience. The one thing I was going to say too, like I know when it comes to like Hulu, the Hulu version of the show. I mean, once again, I think Vince tried to put like what is WWE's top property, which he would feel like is stuff he created on the show. That's what he's always going to do. Just unless something gets so over and out of control that you just can't deny it. If it's like a Daniel Bryan situation back then, you know what I mean? That's like one of those things they kind of force his hand into.
What did you think of Cole burying the segment before him?
That was frustrating. I mean, I guess once again, as I spoke about in the last episode, the production meeting, they watched the match, in its entirety. And there was like, the writers and stuff that were clapping for it. Oh my God, that was so much fun. It was great. And Vince was just like, I don't get it. I don't get it. So I feel like he probably thought because his vision of wrestling is what all of his fan base's vision of wrestling is. So he probably had that statement go out just in case like people shitted on it, whatever, so that he wasn't held fully responsible for it, but it was disappointing to have him do that, and even Michael Cole being fed that by Vince and having to say that was obviously disappointing, kind of like, set us up to fail right off the jump, but it is what it is at the end of the day.
5 years ago, crazy Matt Hardy. Bray back in there today. He was a lot of rumors this past week about Bray Wyatt going around. Some of our fans wanted to know from you if you had any thoughts on some of those rumors. It sounds like it's more just a personal condition sort of thing with him, but I know that his return has been pretty polarizing. Do you have anything you'd like to say about Bray in particular as we wrap this episode?
Yeah, I mean, Bray's a good dude. He's always been very supportive of me. He's been a good friend since I've known him, and I want him to be good. It's the most important thing. Like, fuck wrestling at the end of the day. Like, I want him to be good personally on his own. He's got kids, got a family, and that's the first priority. So, the only thing I really hope for him, I got lots of love for him. I hope he's good.
100%. I agree with you, and I hope he's doing all right, and hopefully he'll be back in the ring soon. Good stuff here, Matt, on the Ultimate Deletion. We appreciate everyone tuning in. Again, the biggest way you help out this podcast, guys, leave that 5-star review wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe to Matt Hardy Brand on YouTube and share the podcast. It really helps us grow our brand so much. And if you'd like to be part of that brand, by the way, advertise with Hardy.com. Look, we got thousands of listeners and viewers every single week, and we want to help you get your word out about your company, your business, your entity, whatever it may be. Maybe it's a podcast. We'll promote your podcast on this podcast. AdvertiseWithHardy.com. That Matt Hardy endorsement goes quite a long way, let me tell you that, my friend. So make sure you get in on that. AdvertiseWithHardy.com. Anything else you'd like to add this week, Matt Hardy, as we wrap things up on the Extreme Life?
No, that was fun. It was a fun little look back at that time. And that was a very fun part of my final WWE run, getting the opportunity to take a character I created elsewhere and bring it to WWE television. And I am very grateful that I got the opportunity to do this cinematic match. And the fact that I've had them spanning 3 different companies, I'm proud of that. I feel like a proud papa, the cinematic matches in Impact, in WWE, and also in AEW, all elite wrestling. Very proud of that fact.
Well, good luck with your training of Stokely Hathaway. I know you got to get off and get out there and start in the gym with him. So by all means, start clanking and banging with Stokely over there with Stankley. Good luck. The words have been spoken here on the Extreme Life of Matt Hardy. We'll see you next week.